I'm making this video to try to explain why psychedelics work the way they do for me. And why is it that I don't have bad trips? Why is it that um it doesn't matter if it's LSD, DMT, psilocybin mushrooms. I have found the techniques to travel into the world, travel into the dimension. Some people out there understand that psychedelics give you access to another world, another dimension, another plane of existence where you can meet entities and beings and other city, like go to cities of light and travel through vortexes and different rooms and sing objects into creation. And Terence McKenna talked about speaking without syntax, which is just this language that these beings speak in DMT space. And when they speak this language, there is a visual thing that they are creating, whether it's like a shape or like a fourth dimensional machinery shape thing that keeps fluctuating and then doing its own thing, okay? So, why the fuck is it that psychedelics do this for me, but not other people? Why is it that some people don't believe? And this is the thing. I don't give a shit if anyone believes what I have gone through in my life. I don't care if you... I don't tell you my ideas because I want validation for my ideas. I tell you my ideas because it's generally what I believe. It's generally what I have... I believe it because I've experienced things, and these things I've experienced have made me see the world from a different point of view. So, if you have an egotistical point of view, then yeah, obviously you're not going to be able to travel dimensions with psychedelics. If you're someone who's skeptical and is like, well, psychedelics don't actually take you to another place, it's just the receptors in your brain that's out of, like, all this excuses that the ego attaches to so it can try to stay alive. Like, the ego will do anything to keep you away from psychedelics. The ego will do anything to keep you away from an actual real dose of psychedelics. So, like, with DMT, if you smoke NN-DMT, so, because there's now this popular thing called 5-MeO-DMT, and I don't think 5-MeO-DMT, I've never done 5-MeO-DMT, but what I can say is, with my hundreds of experiences with NN-dimethyltryptamine that was extracted from the Acacia confusa root bark, which means if it was extracted from Acacia confusa, it also has a little NMT in it, and I feel like the NMT kind of adds to the thing, because in my personal opinion, DMT that was extracted from Acacia has more of a punch to it than DMT that was extracted from Mimosa. But other people have different opinions, but this is just from my personal experiences that my first psychedelic I ever did was salvia. I smoked salvia and it scared the shit out of me. Then I smoked DMT, and it loved me, and it embraced me. And this is the thing that I have a little difference than other people, is my first experiences with psychedelics was spiritual. It was alone. It was not at a party. I was by myself. The girl I was with had no clue what the fuck I was doing because I had the calling, not her. So the girl I was with at the time, I don't know what the fuck she thought, but all of a sudden this wannabe thug that she used to be with started changing because I started researching things about spirituality and shamanism and the pineal gland and Terence McKenna, and I would listen to Terence McKenna for 5-6 hours a day just trying to understand what the fuck he was talking about. Because that man will go on a stream of fucking information, and like, if you lose the focus for 10 seconds, you will miss the whole entire thing that Terence was trying to say. So, like, I would sometimes have to repeat the talks and listen again and again and again, and repetition. And I never fucking realized until the other day when I was talking to my friend, right? And I'm like, okay, so I took LSD 4 times this week, and technically 5 times this week because I microdosed earlier today. So, like, I'm on a microdose right now. But I don't really consider microdosing tripping, even though I do still feel it. And the thing is, because my microdoses are a little stronger than normal microdoses, because I actually want to feel connected. Because that's why I smoke weed, that's why I take kratom instead of using other opioids. Like, I would never use any other opioids besides kratom. I will never, and I'm not attached to the natural against synthetic or whatever. I'm just attached to connecting to this thing that I've gained a relationship with. And this thing that I gained a relationship with is me. It is me. Just like the thing you will gain a relationship with is you. But a lot of people don't know who they are. They don't know themselves, so they know their ego. So like people will think they are their ego, which is why when you do the psychedelic, you have a bad trip, quote unquote. I don't have bad trips because I do not mistake myself with my ego. I don't mistake my ego for consciousness, and I don't mistake fear for reality. So some people will take the psychedelic, for example, ayahuasca. Difference between ayahuasca and LSD is if you don't have spiritual knowledge, if you don't have spiritual experience with other psychedelics, like ayahuasca or DMT or mushrooms, and I mean deep experiences, then you probably won't be able to push LSD to a breakthrough experience. But other psychedelics, you just need a blindfold and to shut up and just be with the psychedelic. And then you can have a quote-unquote breakthrough. Because I've heard this term breakthrough through the psychedelic community for years now. But the thing that I've noticed is my breakthroughs are maybe a little more shattering, or maybe I'm actually breaking through and other people are just having a slight ego death, which makes them think they broke through. Because, like, ego death comes in layers. It comes in, like, a spectrum. So ego death can run smooth and quick and easy if you learn how to let go of your ego without holding on to your ideas of yourself, your ideas of where you want the trip to go, your ideas of who you think you are, or who you think humans are, or what you think you've learned over the years. Fuck all that shit. All that shit needs to go out the window if you want the psychedelic to, in a sense, break you through into the other world. Because that's how I have access to the other world. It doesn't matter if I take DMT. Like, I haven't smoked DMT in a while, but I found out the other day while I was tripping on LSD that if I just close my eyes, lay back, look at my third eye when my eyes are closed, in a sense, lay back, you will start to see the tryptamine world. And I was able to focus long enough, silence my mind long enough for the thing to just open up within my mind. And it was like, and like, these giant and I made a song not too long ago because I'm working on an album, but like I was not lying when I said there were giant cathedrals, giant fucking, it's like what Terrence McKenna said, the thing was like 100 feet high and 100 feet wide or whatever, and it was coming at him. It's that the same thing that Terrence McKenna was able to have come at him when he went into the mushroom world is the same thing that's coming at me when I go into the LSD world. That's why I call it the tryptamine world, because tryptamines are a class of psychedelic compounds. And now, I don't know if phenethylamines might be able to take you to the same world or maybe a different part of that world, but it seems that DMT, ayahuasca, psychedelic mushrooms, like psilocybin mushrooms, and LSD, LSA containing seeds, all of these things give you access to the same place. Maybe different parts of that place, because each different psychedelic is like a different perspective of that place. My friend Phi said that once when we were tripping once down by the river. But I think all this information that I've gained over the years has helped me just be able to let the psychedelic do what it's supposed to do. Like, I explained to my girl, like, every time I take a psychedelic, I just let it flow. Just like I do right now when I'm conversating with you guys, like, right here. Every video I have ever made is just a free flow video, like a freestyle. I have no idea really what I'm saying. I mean, maybe I have an idea of, like, I wanted to make this video about, you know, me and how I use psychedelics and how I don't have bad trips and why I don't have bad trips and what am I doing that's, like, making it so I can just go into that world. What am I doing? I'm usually meditating, or, you know, lately I've been making music, and this is the thing. Whatever your intention is really what the thing can push you towards. So, like, some trips my intention is to just make music, because I've been taking LSD and sitting down on my computer and making music, and I'm working on my album. And that's how I'm working on my album, right? I wanted it to be a psychedelic inspired album, but I wanted to actually trip and make the music and see if it turns out different, and it has. It's turned out that while I'm tripping, I hear sounds that I could have never imagined, and things that I couldn't, like, things that all producers wish their fucking ears would do 24/7. So, like, I've kind of just used it as a tool. Now, other people would say, well, you're abusing the psychedelic. No, you would be abusing the psychedelic if you did it 4 times this week. But that, you can't judge someone else's life. So, like, my life is this. You know, like, I'm not scared to say, hey, I'm a modern day shaman, meaning that years ago, I used to give people psychedelics in a sense and give them their experience. I would smoke DMT with them and blast them off into the world. I would try to explain what this world is, what the DMT is before they did it. And, like, that was my thing. Before I made videos. So, like, now that I make videos, it's this thing. I've been making videos since 2015. And now that I've grown up, I have evolved, and I've become the man that I have always wanted to be. And it's been a lot of hard work. You know, I've had to, and this is the funny thing. People are like, hard work? All you do is take psychedelics. And, you know, people are like, I had this one dude say, oh, you're just a drug addict, and yada, yada, yada. Well, it's the fact that I understand what drugs are and how they attach to my brain and what receptors they attach to, and how different drugs attach to different receptors, and how thoughts are just electrical signals firing back. Like, all this information that I've gained about myself. This is what I do with my life. It's, in the beginning of my psychedelic journey, I learned about shamanism. I learned, before I ever smoked DMT, before I ever did psychedelics, you know, I knew what DMT was. I knew that the shamans used it. I knew that it was in ayahuasca, and I knew that the shamans believed that it took them to what they would call the spirit world, and that it connected them. I heard all these talks about Mother Ayahuasca. I heard all these talks from shamans long before I ever did psychedelics. And I guess not long before, like a year or two, I did straight hard research. And this is what I realized, that other people have not done straight hard fucking research. Like, don't put a drug in your body unless you know what it's doing to you. So there's a reason why I don't use MDMA that often. Because MDMA is not like mushrooms. It's not like LSD. It's not like DMT. It's not like these things. It's not taking you to another world. It's just making you feel good by releasing serotonin, and maybe it makes it so you're like easier to have a conversation if you have trouble conversating. But I don't have trouble conversating, so all MDMA did for me was, it was like some feel-good drug that felt fucking awesome, and like a lot of pleasure, but no work, or no, I don't know, I can see why people like MDMA. Because it's not like the LSD. It's not going to fuck with you, right? It's not like the ayahuasca. It's not going to fuck with you, make you throw up, make you face the fact that you're not actually a good person. So therefore, you had a quote-unquote bad trip. And, like, I don't think psychedelics are good or bad. I think they reveal who you are. So if you are not the man you were meant to be, the psychedelic will show you that. If you're not the woman you were meant to be, the psychedelic will show you that. And it just so happens that I am walking in myself. I try to walk in the shoes of my future self. I try to imagine what it would be like to be older. What would the 35-year-old version of me think? What would the 45-year-old version of me think? I try to I'm not attached to my past. I'm not attached to the man my mom raised me to be. I am the man that I raised myself to be now. My mom raised the man up until I was 20, and now from 20 to 27, I raised me. I built me. I trained me. I meditated. I trained myself to not think negative thoughts. I sat down hour after hour after hour researching, reading research papers, watching shaman documentaries, watching ayahuasca documentaries, taking the ayahuasca, taking the DMT, taking the LSD, taking the mushrooms, taking the herbs. I've tried 40 to 50 different plant herbs, like from ashwagandha to kratom to cannabis to motherwort to blue vervain to like a bunch of fucking others, from chaga mushroom to lion's mane to whatever, and I have found the tools that work for me. I have found what's worked for me, and what's worked for me is the fact that I don't do psychedelics. I live this life. I live a shamanic life, a modern shamanic life in the modern world, which is why, from the very beginning, I've called myself a modern day shaman. Even though other people will judge, because they judge. They're like, well, you're not Native American, you're not a shaman, you can't call yourself a shaman because of blah, 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 blah. No, their ego gets wrapped up in the word shaman. My ego's not wrapped up in shit. I am nothing. I don't know shit. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I am a nobody. My ego is nothing. I let my ego know it's nothing. Because I don't ever want to get... If somebody... It's something Gary Vee said. Gary Vaynerchuk said, like, I can't hear anybody. Meaning, he was like, when people are talking shit, I can't hear you. But when people said, yo, bro, you're fucking awesome. You're so fucking dope. Yo, you're fucking awesome. I don't hear you either. I don't hear anybody. Because, like, I don't want my ego to get caught up into I'm fucking awesome. And I don't want my ego to get caught up into I'm a piece of shit. So, like, I just mind my business. My business is to live my life. Is to do what I want to do. What did I want to do? Why did I use psychedelics in the first place? Because I wanted to learn spirituality. I wanted to learn who I was. I wanted to learn what I was. What am I a part of? What is this giant universe that we live in? What are psychedelics? What are drugs? What is, all this shit I wanted to know, I know now for myself. I don't know any information for you. That's why I share my information, because maybe the knowledge that I've learned that has helped me in my life will help you in your life, but it is not guaranteed. So don't fucking, like, people will try to hold you up because, like, they're like, well, this didn't work for me, or yada, yada, yada. And then people will say, psychedelics make you go crazy, or psychedelics do this, or drugs do that. Or no, it's always the person. It's always the human being. It's the human, not the drug. It's the human, not the, I don't know. Psychedelics could never make me go crazy. It's, if you don't have control of your mind, don't use psychedelics. If you are weak-minded, don't use psychedelics. If you don't want to deal with your past trauma, don't use psychedelics. But, like, I have dealt with all my shit. I don't have any shit. All I have is what's looking forward. I don't have anything in my past. The past isn't real. I'm here in the moment, and I am in this moment creating my future. And that's how I live my life. And, you know, I work on my music because that's what I want to do. I don't have as much money as everyone might think, or as everyone whatever. I'm fucking poor. I live in a one-bedroom apartment, getting ready to get a bigger apartment because I got kids. And, you know, it's this thing where it's like, well, my girl, the girl that I'm with now, we got together about 1.5 years ago. And now that I know that this is the woman I want to spend the rest of my life with, I have to change my living situation. I have to change my life. I have to adapt my life around her life so we can grow together and build a family together and build this thing together. So I'm slowly getting a better house. I'm slowly getting whatever. But none of that really, I don't know how to explain it, that I'm just in this constant flow of me. Of that I'm not attached to where I am because I know it's not where I will always be. I'm not attached to what I am because I know it's not what I'll always be. So, like, some people will go into the psychedelics, like, sad because maybe they're not as rich as they wanted, or maybe they think they're poor but they're really not, or maybe, like, because really the problem is they're poor-minded, like, sad, misery, you don't have enough happy thoughts in your brain. And I feel like that is real wealth. Real wealth is when you have control over your mind, and when your mind is filled with things that make you feel alive, you are fucking rich. You're rich with life. Most people are rich with paper, but their life bank account is fucking empty. They're running on E. They're running on E because they, like, half of these people are rich, but they want to commit suicide. Half of these people out in the world, like, I just think that the problem is we tend to follow everyone else, or we tend to care what other people think about us more than we care what we think about us, right? So it's this thing that I know who I am. No one can fucking tell me who I am because I have met myself and I have gotten to know myself very well. And once you get to know yourself very well, no one will be able to tell you shit either, because the only reason people can tell you shit is because you don't know who you are. If you don't know who you are, you might end up listening to someone who tells you who they think you are because you don't know who you are. But don't listen to someone who's telling you who they think you are, because they don't fucking know you. They don't know why you were born. They don't know why you're alive, because they don't even know why they're alive. The people that judge you are the same people that have no idea why the fuck they're on planet Earth. So, like, this is the thing that I've realized. Why don't I have bad trips? Why am I able to just take the psychedelic and I can do whatever I want with it? If the intention was to just take the psychedelic and have wild sex with my girl, me and my girl are going to have the most awesome psychedelic sex that has ever fucking existed. I don't know, we have talks about three-ways and how me and my girl got in a relationship in the first place. It was a polygamous relationship. She kind of joined into the relationship I was in, but then the girl that I was with was not the girl I was meant to be with. So then the whole whatever, and eventually I'll have a separate video of how me and my girl got together, and we're going to start making videos together and all this other shit. But it's this thing that I'm realizing, you gotta stop caring about judgment. Because if I cared about judgment, I would have never even gotten the polygamous relationship. I would have never whatever. And I wouldn't be the happiest fucking man on the planet right now. Because I'm the happiest man because I got the most amazing woman that exists. Like, all these conversations I have with my girl. Like, it's the first time I've ever been able to philosophize with someone I love. And it's fucking amazing. So, like, I don't know. I just don't, when I go into psychedelics, I go in with intention. Always. And even if that intention was to just have wild sex, that's fine. People need to mind their business. If your intention was just to have wild sex with your girl while you trip balls and you're scared, you don't want to tell people that because you're like, I don't want people to judge me and think I'm abusing the psychedelic or whatever, tell them to shut up. Mind their business and go trip balls and have fun with their life. Because, like, there is no right or wrong way to live. There is no right or wrong way to do psychedelics. The wrong way is when you're fucking feeling anxiety. The wrong way is when you fucking feel anxious. The wrong way is if you had to take a benzodiazepine to calm down after you took the psychedelic, then you should have never taken the psychedelic and you should probably just stick to Molly. Because, like, with Molly, you don't have to worry about that shit. Because it's not going to make you face who you are. It's not going to make you face the fact that you're an asshole. It's not going to make you face the fact that you make people feel uncomfortable. That's why you feel uncomfortable. Because that's what the psychedelics do. They reflect. So, like, how do you make people feel? You might have no idea that the people that you love, you make them feel uncomfortable. Maybe you don't know, but the psychedelic knows. So the psychedelic then made you feel uncomfortable so you could think, why the fuck do you feel uncomfortable? But instead of thinking about it, people just take a benzodiazepine so they can move on with their trip and have fun. Like, this is not about fun. This is about evolving. This is about growing. And to me, that's fun. I love to evolve, but I also love hard shit. You know, like, I don't know, I love to struggle. Struggle has made me a man. Like, you don't fucking understand that the main problem with our society today, it's not that beta and alpha or whatever, all these fucking terms. The real issue is that men don't go through shit. They're babied until they're grown-ass babies. And then we're grown-ass babies. And we never become the men we were meant to be because we can't deal with adversity. We can't deal with problems. We can't deal with struggle. We can't deal with actual shit. And this is the thing that, with being a man taking psychedelics, I've been able to take the psychedelic and love getting punched in the face. You have no idea how much I love when the psychedelic shatters me, punches me in the face, makes me cry, makes me scream, makes me beg for it to end. I just want the trip to end. I love those trips. You do not fucking understand. That's why I know I was meant for this life. Because the trips that people would say are horrifying, terrifying, scary, the things that push people away from psychedelics is the thing that pushed me closer to them. When psychedelics were the only thing that was able to tell me I was a fucking piece of shit. Like, I used to have such an insane anger issue. Like, I used to be mad all the time. Psychedelics showed me that and showed me how fucking ugly I could be. Showed me how shitty I could be. And it was the only thing in the world that I've actually, I guess, listened to about how shitty of a fucking person I was. And I didn't like that. So I changed. So I became the man I am now. So I still have moments like that. I still get angry. I still whatever. But I catch myself. I don't get as angry as I used to. And I also, whatever, I now catch myself when things, or whatever, I pay attention to my thoughts. I don't think negative thoughts because I catch them. And I say, shut up. And I think happy thoughts. And I move the fuck on. And, like, by doing this shit, I'm able to take the psychedelic and just go into it. Like, I let go of everything. So, like, even if it's letting go of the woman that I love, right? We trip together all the time. But when I'm laying down next to her, I'm not thinking about her. I'm not thinking about anything. I am letting go of everything to the point where my body vibrates away and shatters into the other dimension. And as it's in that other dimension, if you can fucking train your mind how to focus, how to not think about dumb shit when you don't want to, you need to train your brain to think when you want it to think and stop thinking when you want it to stop thinking. So then you can actually travel into the psychedelic world, talk to entities, meet beings. Like the other day on LSD, I met these clown beings. For the first time, I met entities on LSD. And like, I didn't think you could. I just realized LSD takes a lot more work than other psychedelics. Every other psychedelic just whips you into that world, and then these beings are there, and it just is what it is. With LSD, it takes a lot of work, and you have to have the right music playing, and you have to have the right thing. But this is exactly why shamans sing Icaros. Like, and that's what I mean. And when I said, in the beginning of my psychedelic journey, I researched shamanism before I ever used psychedelics. So I knew what Icaros were. I knew the purpose of them before I even did psychedelics. The purpose of an Icaro. Maybe there's an Icaro, which is in a sense a song, okay, that the shamans sing when they take ayahuasca. But these songs are designed for things. So there was this one shaman talked about the purple song. And basically the purple song is exactly what it sounds like. It's that when they sing that song, when they drink ayahuasca, it brings out the purple light in the visuals, and it brings out a certain thing, and it takes them to a certain place in the psychedelic world. That the shamans have been using techniques to get to point A to point B in the psychedelic world, traveling dimensions. And I do the same in the modern world. That it is all one. The same thing the shamans do, you can do too. I just realized that I had to not care about judgment. Because if I cared about judgment, people are like, well, why don't you just go drink ayahuasca with a shaman? Because I'm fucking poor. Are you going to pay for my plane ticket? I got kids. I'm in a one-bedroom apartment. I'm trying to move into a bigger apartment. I'm trying to whatever. So I realized my life. And I accepted it. I let it go. I let go of my obsession of wanting to look good for the world or wanting to have more things. And I accepted what was, and I'm learning and I learned from what was, right? This is my life. I learned that shit, I'll just smoke DMT hundreds of times instead of drinking ayahuasca. I learned that because that's my thing. My thing was smoking DMT over 500 times to try to understand the psychedelic world. And other people are like, yo, bro, that's too much. You smoke DMT too much. No, it's too much for you because you were not born for that. Like, my mind was so clear that I didn't have that much trauma to deal with. So, like, I dealt with my trauma real quick and then just traveled in dimensions. I don't hold on to ego. I don't hold on to opinion. And every idea I have today, if you proved me wrong tomorrow, I would accept it and believe what you believe tomorrow. If you could generally prove me wrong. But because I'm not attached to any idea. I'm just attached to the flow of I flow with the river. Wherever the river goes is where I go. And that's what these psychedelics have taught me. That is what letting go is going with the river. It's that as soon as you feel the psychedelic, some people start to feel anxious. That's because you immediately start fighting it, and you're immediately holding on to what was before you started tripping. Let go and let the river flow. And sometimes it'll break you into another world, and you'll lose sense of your body, and you'll start to, forget you're a human. You'll forget what you did. And, the other day when I did LSD, it clicked that, oh my fucking God, it's all the same place. Because if I just let the LSD, if I took 2 or 3 more hits and I let the LSD just take over or whatever, then I wouldn't have known if I smoked DMT. I wouldn't have known if I took a high dose of mushrooms, and I wouldn't have known if I took LSD, because it would have all been the same place. And once you understand that these things are a lot deeper than just visuals on the wall, they could be that. But if you wanted to open the door to the other dimensions, it can do that too. But you have to be prepared for it. You can't hold on to your trauma. You can't hold on to your ego. You can't hold on. You have to easily let go and scuba dive into the psychedelic ocean.